What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of This Brother Talks. And my name is Tony, and I come to you weekly, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, just to give you, my take and my opinion on some sports topics and all of that good stuff. Just want to have fun, you know, enjoy people that I don't talk to on an everyday basis that I've seen that I haven't seen in a while, or been able to talk sports with or play sports with, like just friends in general. But and again, these are my opinions. It's if I say it's factual, it's something that's proven, but a lot of times, most of this stuff just my opinion on how I feel and what I feel about that particular sport or what's going on at that particular time. Um, if you get on, I appreciate you getting on. Pass the word to others. And everybody just get on here and just have a good time. You can give your opinion. I'll show it on stage and all of that good stuff. So, at the end of the day, let's just have fun and uh, let's keep it respectful. All right. And so your comments will show on the screen so others can see it. So that way you feel like you're involved and you have a lot to do with it. So so your comments will pop up. I'll respond to as many comments as I possibly can. So let's get into it. And we'll start off like we always do. Monday Night Football, the Cardinals versus the Cowboys. Um, that game is going on right now. As you see me look up, I'll look up because the game is on. Got is my TV behind me on the wall, and so I'm looking at the game. It's 0-0. The Cardinals are driving. Um, I was just looking at that. The Cardinals. Let's see where they at real quick. Uh, they at the Dallas 43. Yeah, the Dallas 43. So they're kind of driving. Um, Cowboys have struggled defensively. The Cardinals won their first two games um, and lost the last five. They're 2-5. Cowboys are 3-4. So you know, we'll see what happens in this game. The Cowboys defense, they've been struggling. Offensively, they look like world beaters, but defensively, they haven't been great at all. And right now it's 3rd and 6. They got a chance to get off the field. So let's see if they get off the field. They're playing against the Cardinals, um, and Brissett is playing in place of Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's hurt. I think he got a foot or ankle injury, one of the two. So he's out. Jacoby Brissett is playing. It's 3rd and 6, and they just picked up the first down, so the drive keep going. Yep. What's this? Says, good evening, bro. Your big brother's sitting side. Oh, okay. What's up, Chris and Park? Y'all doing all right? But yeah, that's it. So we'll keep in what's going on in this game. It's in the first quarter with 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Is countdown. 1st and 10, the Cardinals. Um, um, and we'll go from there. All right, and we're gonna talk about some baseball, World Series. The Dodgers win a thriller Game 7 in the World Series. Um, if you're not a baseball fan, you missed a good World Series. It went back and forth. Um, so this setup is kind of like it used to be in basketball, whereas 2-3-2, two home, three on the road for the lower seed team, and then two back at home. So if you steal one of the first two, you got three straight home games. You know, and that's what the Dodgers faced. They had three straight home games, and we went to 7 games, and it just felt like the Dodgers. Excuse me. The Dodgers would win that game because I felt like the Blue Jays bats got kind of cold on them. And I think when they had a chance to pull away, they didn't. They left a whole bunch of runs on base and all that good stuff. But it was two big plays by the second baseman who hit a home run. Then he feels the ball, stumbles, and uh, uh, got the force out at home plate. That could have been the deciding play of the game. You know, if they score then, but they go extra innings, and the Dodgers, they win. Like and it was just a thriller. Like you just didn't know you had good pitching on both sides, um, good defense on both sides. Yeah, both bats were a little bit hot. At certain times. Um, and the Dodgers are back to back World Series champions. Uh, a lot of people had done uh, put them out whenever they had lost those last two at home, and they were going back to Toronto. I even said it. I said I believe the Dodgers gave their chance away. They gave their chance away, but they end up winning two games on the road to seal the victory. Um, and it was just great baseball. Like my thing, I'm not a fan of either one of those, the Blue Jays or the Dodgers. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, but it was a good series to watch, good baseball to watch. If you didn't watch it, you missed out. You know, you just missed out completely. I didn't even look to see who was the World Series MVP or anything like that because uh, I said whenever it was going on, I was like, man, I'm not staying up watching these extra innings. I said I'm about to go to sleep, and lo and behold, I ended up watching because it got kind of good. The pitching got good, um, got better, um, and both of them were going deep in. Both managers were going deep in their bag. They were playing chess. Like I'm gonna put this pitcher out there because he got a left hand hitter, got a right hand hitter. I'm gonna put this pitcher out. So like and they were getting themselves out of jams, and it was just good baseball in my opinion. Um, so um, shout out to the Dodgers for being back to back World Series champs. Now the Dodgers, and their fans are thinking three-peat. That's going to be real hard to do because that's the first time that we had a repeat champion since the Yankees did it in the early 2000s. That's how long it's been. Um, so shout out to the Dodgers. Hoping my Braves get healthy, do what they supposed to do, and they get back. Had the Braves won 4 years ago. We need another one pretty soon. So shout out to the Dodgers for that. The Blue Jays, that was tough. Drake took another L, because it was LA versus Canada. And so, that was Drake and Kendrick Lamar. And so that's what ended up happening. LA wins again. Toronto, like there was a crushing defeat for Toronto because they had everything going in their favor. Two games at home. All they had to do was just win one out of the two, and the Dodgers won both of them. And it was like, after game six, I was like, well, the Dodgers was on life support. I felt like the Blue Jays would come out and just handle business. And they were up once the Dodgers took the lead in that last inning that they took the lead in, that was the first time they had led in that game. And they didn't look back anymore. And like I said, shout out to them. Um, a hell of a World Series. The good thing and the bad thing about it is, the good thing is they don't waste no time with games, and I understand why they don't waste no time with games. But at the same time, that series is over with quick because just last Monday, we were talking and the series was tied 1-1. And now the series is over a week later. Where that's how baseball is. They go ahead and play their games back to back. You travel and then you play again the next time. That's how they do. And I like the fact that they do that because it keep people engaged and it don't drag series and stuff out. Because I think that's what it does. Like people don't realize the Dodgers has sat for 9 days, and I think that's where they struggles and stuff came from because before they swept in the NLCS, I think that they bats were the hottest. They looked like world beaters, but they showed championship resilience. and they come back and won that series and celebrating another MLB World Series. And so we'll move along. We're going to talk about football. I'm looking at the game right now is going on. It's 3-0 Cardinals, and the Cowboys had a game right now. Have the ball right now. All right, so we're gonna move to football. Jaden Daniels dislocated his elbow in a blowout. I'm not sure why Jaden Daniels in the game in the fourth quarter when they was down like 38-7, 37-7, something like that. Not sure why he was in the game. The game was over, and um, on a play on a drive. They was in the red zone. He got tackled, put his arm down for a brace for a fall, and his elbow dislocated. It was very ugly to see, but I'm not sure why he was still in the game. I don't think that was very smart coaching to have him in the game at that time. Uh, Dan Quinn has stated that that was his mistake, and it's a costly mistake at that, because we just had this conversation a few weeks ago whenever he was having the ankle injury. We were saying that, or the hamstring, whichever one it was, that hoping the guy could get healthy and not have the issues that the Commanders have had traditionally, with black mobile quarterbacks. Everybody was trying to say he was going to be like RG3, and I was hoping that wasn't the case. Um, but at the end of the day, this time it's an elbow. So I'm not sure if you're going to have surgery or anything right now. So we'll see what happens. But I'm pretty sure he will, because it was dislocation. I'm pretty sure he might have, messed up some ligaments and stuff. Kind of like Scatterboo whenever he dislocated his ankle, he had to have surgery immediately. I hate it for Jaden Daniels because he was a good, promising, and a black quarterback that has proven that he is that he can carry a team and he could carry the load for a team. I just don't think that Dan Quinn did a good job of managing his minutes and managing his play. Because sometimes you got to protect players from themselves. So you sit him down. You lost the game. You was already getting your ass whipped. You could have easily just been like, "Hey, it's over with. Show the pads off. Hey, we'll go back and regroup next game." It was no point of him being in that game at that particular time, in that juncture of the game, because of what was at stake. Like, you want your franchise quarterback healthy, or you whatever you trying to do. Because I'm not sure. As a coach, I wouldn't have had him out there. It's just that simple. It's simple just to say, you know, sit down. This game is over with. And unfortunately, he gets hurt, and now you're gonna have a bunch of questions on, you know, what, what if, what if this, what if that, and all that good stuff. So um, we'll see what happens with him. Let me see if they gave an update yet on anything about his elbow or anything. I read it earlier. I just seen that Dan Quinn was saying that it was his fault. It's on him, um, of what was going on. Let's see. He said it was 100% on him. Dan Quinn said that. Um, he said he should have removed and dislocated his elbow. Um, let's see. He said he just missed it. That's 100% on me. Um, said they're waiting further testing, so they haven't did an X-ray after the game showed no fracture. And they do X-rays, but MRI gonna tell everything else, because X-rays only shows bone damage and stuff like that. They don't show like ligament damage and stuff. So he's gonna have an MRI, and we'll see what happens from there. I hope that it's just the dislocation and not some ligaments where he has to have some type of surgery or something like that. And that's crazy coming from me, and because he in my division, I got to face him twice a year, and last year it was 3 times. So, but don't want to see nobody, go down that way. Dan Quinn got to coach a whole lot better than what he did, because that to me was uh, that was just awful to have him out there at that particular time of that junction of the game. I mean, anybody could see that, like, and coaching staff, um, offense coordinator should have been like that. If anything, if I was the player, I would have been like, no, go ahead and let somebody else go on out there. That would have been me. It would have been no point for me to go out there unless I'm playing for some type of stats or something like that. Other than that, that game was over. They weren't coming back. There wasn't enough time, and they didn't play good enough. So hopefully he has a speedy recovery, and we'll move along. All right, and we're gonna talk about my Oklahoma City Thunder. And I got my shirt on. Thunder are 7-0. And the crazy thing about the Thunder being 7-0 is, um, you're not playing with everybody. You know, Chet has missed a few games. J Dub is out because he had wrist surgery over the summer. Um, but they're still 7-0. Shea Gillis Alexander is playing MVP caliber already. You got guys coming off the bench like Casey Wallace giving you 20, Aaron Wiggins giving you 20, Caruso doing all the stuff that he normally does, defensively and just leadership wise. Um, so, and I think this is really good for the Thunder, because it's showing you that you can have some depth. Um, I was telling somebody, matter of fact, I talked to Eric last night when I was going to check out TC. I was telling him that, I watched a lot of teams make a whole bunch of moves, and they made big name splashes, but they didn't get better as a team. And Oklahoma City got better as a team. They kept their core together. Sam made a trade here and there. They drafted well, and even without some of their best players, second best player, and then without having the third best player on the court, all of these 7 games, they still look better than these teams that call themselves uh, playing to win it now. And I just feel like they just much better as a team. You can have big names. Yeah, we got Shea Gillis Alexander, but everybody else is just a name. You know what I'm saying? They just players, but they play good together. They enjoy playing with each other. That's one of the most important things. They're happy for each other. If you watch them, they happy. Some of them one night might come out and score 20. The other one might come out the other night not score 20, but somebody else gonna pick up the slack then too. And they're genuinely happy for each other. And that's one thing that I like about this Thunder team. I like about Mark Dagnall and the coaching staff and all that good stuff. It's like everybody's just happy for everybody. It ain't no jealousy and all that good stuff. And they check their egos before they get out the car. And that's the most important thing whenever it comes to NBA basketball is egos. And so, shout out to the Thunder. Hopefully they keep playing, just as well. They're 7-0 right now. Not gonna go undefeated. They won't go 82-0, but this is good signs, of things to come. Because they could have been one of those teams that, they won the NBA championship. They were young. This is the first time it ever happened, and come out and, be flat and feel like, oh, we done did what we supposed to do. No, they still going out there proving something and showing people that, they still got a lot to prove, and still demanding respect from everybody. So the Thunder undefeated 7-0, only undefeated team in the NBA right now. And shout out to them and the coaching staff. Now they're going on a long road trip now. So we'll see how that goes. They're going to be on the road for about a week now. They left out today, and they go from there. All right. And I'm going to move along here, and I'm pulling up some stuff because I'm going to talk about my Eagles. Chris don't like talking about my Eagles, but the Eagles have been busy before the trade deadline. And the trade deadline, they have done a couple of good things. They made a trade for Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins. Um, they also that's an edge rusher. They also traded for um, Alexander from the Ravens as a cornerback, and we had another trade, but at the end of the day, they bolster in that defense. They seen that Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean needed some help at that cornerback position, so we got two experienced cornerbacks, and we got another edge rusher to go alongside another end of Brandon Graham whenever he comes back. And this has all happened during the bye week, which I kind of like it because you know the bye week happened, and so now they're starting back to practice and stuff, and these guys get acclimated, the whole week or whatever. It won't be like, they just coming in a couple of days before and then they start playing. So they get acclimated with the team, and all that good stuff. So, I'm excited about what happened because I felt like our defense was needed, just a little bit more. And that youth wasn't good enough, and the guys we had picked up, Wingo and then they just didn't pan out. Like you didn't like they better off as backups in my opinion. And so no disrespect to them because they NFL players, they had to get there somehow or another, and that's what it is. So Howard Roseman has been busy and he done got a lot done before the trade deadline. All right, we're gonna move along. We're gonna talk about the NBA Cup. Um, the NBA Cup. Do you love it or hate it? I'll be honest with you. I do not like it at all. The NBA Cup is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. Um, Chris said I didn't even talk about the Eagles first. Chris, I haven't talked about the Eagles first in a few weeks. I told you that already. You don't listen, man. You really don't listen. But the NBA Cup, do you love it or you hate it? I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate the NBA Cup because it's basically just like regular season games, and they make it seem like it's very very important, and um and it's really not. Um, and then some teams might play, then they go and play some extra games over in Vegas or whatever, which I definitely wouldn't be a fan of because it's just extra wear and tear on your body. And I just think it's just a waste of time. But I think that it had to be done because these guys in this era haven't liked to compete, and competing has been an issue. So I guess the NBA felt like we could throw something in there to make them compete, give them more money, and they could compete for an in-season championship, which I thought was a waste of time. I think it's kind of crazy to have an in-season tournament that you never had because guys wouldn't compete. But that's neither here nor there. Um, so Um, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave that alone, and we're gonna get into fast talks real quick. And what I'm gonna do is I gotta pause for a second. I gotta grab something out my room. I'll be right back. My apologies. Made it back. And so we're going to get to some fast talks. And the first fast talk is going to be ACC fines Clemson for Dabo comments. Dabo had criticized the officials in the football game. I think it's a lot of frustration from him. Excuse me, because they're not winning. They they're struggling real bad. He's not looking good as a coach. Um, and I think that he eventually is going to end up getting fired from Clemson. I felt like the writing been on the wall for a minute because Dabo has not adjusted to uh, new NCAA rules with the transfer portal and all that good stuff. Um, and they lost to Duke. Um, he went off after a pass interference call went against his team on a 4th and 10 late in the fourth quarter. He criticized them, and Duke ended up going for a 2-point conversion, and they ended up losing to Duke, which that's not good because Clemson's supposed to be uh, one of the cream of the crops for the ACC. He was fined. Sweeney was fined $10,000 by the ACC for public. He reprimanded the officials. All right, and real quick, what's the name up 10-0? The Cardinals up 10-0 on the Cowboys in the second quarter. All right, second fast talk. SGA here in Oklahoma City, they played the Washington Wizards a few days ago, and his home was burglarized here in Nichols Hills, not too far from where I'm at. Supposed to be one of the nice, prominent neighborhoods, but no, it can happen anywhere. He said his family's safe, and that's all that matters to him. You know, everything else can come and go, but his family, as long as his family good, he good. They'll get down to the issue. They haven't had too many updates on it, which I think is due to, privacy concerns for him, which I completely understand, and all that good stuff too. We haven't got a whole lot of information on it either. All right, and last fast talk: NFL trade deadline is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see a lot of wheeling and dealing over the next couple of days, and see what happens with a lot of these teams. They said be on the lookout for the Seahawks to make some moves because the Seahawks is not a bad team. Um, Jerry Jones said he gonna make some moves, but I'm not sure what he's waiting on. I'm not sure if anybody wants to really do business with him with helping his team. They'll take away from his team. You see, the Packers took away Michael Parsons, which was, I ain't saying he's a world beat on defense, but he would have been much better on this Cowboys team than anything to help that defense out. That's really bad. All right, and that's the end of fast talks, and we're gonna move along, and we're gonna go to a segment where you can ask me if you have any questions. Ask away, and we'll go from there. And the Cowboys have the ball while I'm waiting to see if anybody asks, and it is 1st and 10 from there. I think they at the 40. I'm waiting to see. They at their own 42 or 43-yard line. So we'll see what the Cowboys do. But what's the name? Brissett just threw a touchdown to Marvin Harrison Jr. It was probably like 4-5 yards. But now the Cowboys have the ball that they're on 44 right now. And that offense looks really good, but they struggling here tonight. The Cardinals is kind of, playing real good defense. And I'm shocked they didn't get a holding call just a second ago on that play. Them officials, sometimes they see stuff and they don't see stuff, but I felt like it should have been a holding call over there. But we'll see what happens, and nobody asks questions. Then we'll move along here in just a second. I'll let you know what's going on in this 3rd and 2 from the Cowboys. see. Yeah, they got the first down. So we'll see. So no questions asked, and we'll move along. The Packers have ugly lost to the Panthers. Like whenever I saw the Packers, wait a minute, I'm gonna go back since Chris asked the question. I believe. Um, you talking about Chris? You talking about John Morant? Chris? Are you talking about Are you talking about John Morant? I'm guessing that's who you're talking about, but um, I don't have a real big mixed opinion on John Morant because Ja has got himself in a whole bunch of mess that is self-inflicted. Um, I think that he needs a change of scenery. I will say that. I think a change of scenery would be great for him. The stuff that you see Ja doing, Ja didn't even grow up that way. Psst, I'm going to the bathroom. Okay. but Ja had been uh, didn't grow up the way he's acting. I think getting him out of Memphis would be the most important thing that you could possibly do to straighten things up for him. Um, it's just like the stuff that he's done. I think he done got mixed up with the wrong crowd in Memphis, and it's just not good for him. I think a change of scenery would be good. Um, I, but I'll say this: I don't think that, in my opinion, Ja can lead a franchise. That's just my opinion. I think that now we've seen him play, we've seen the stuff that he does. He could be a great number two, in my personal opinion. That's just me. That's how I feel. Do I want him to get back on his feet? Yeah. I just think Memphis. There might be a time for a change in Memphis, and I think Memphis on the verge of doing that. Whenever they started trading other people away, I think the writing's on the wall pretty soon. But they got to find some suitors, and he got to go to a situation where people can, help him grow and stir him in the right direction. But I think that he definitely needs to get away from Memphis. That's one thing that I definitely think he needs to get away from. And so we'll see. But that's a real good question. All right. And so we're going to move along. We're going to talk about the Packers taking that ugly loss to the Panthers at home, 16-13. The Panthers kicked the game-winning field goal to beat the Packers. And I'm one of the people that I felt like the Packers had potential to be um, Super Bowl contenders. But honestly, now I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure. It's been that way for a few weeks now, and I feel like they're kind of pretenders because they have too many instances where they're just not good enough, in my opinion, and that's one thing that will hurt them. I've tried to say, okay, I like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is ready to take the next step, but then you see him and then he doesn't, you know. But I feel like them losing to the Panthers, that was an ugly loss because the Panthers coming in and the Panthers is not a great team. They're a team that's going to be up and coming. They got youth and all that good stuff, and you lose at home, 16-13, you know, and you quote unquote supposed to have one of the best defenses. You added Michael Parsons to it, supposed to be better. The offense supposed to be good. Jordan Love supposed to be, up and coming um, quarterback in the league, and you lose to the Panthers that are bottom dwellers of the NFC. You just can't have losses like that. Like, I get it. Sometimes you lose, and they might have been looking past the Panthers because if I'm not mistaken, what's today's date? Here, next week, Monday night, we're at Green Bay. So the Eagles play at Green Bay next week. So I'm thinking they might have been looking past the Panthers and looking for the Eagles. And and say, oh, we're gonna take care of the Panthers and we'll face them Eagles and we'll be ready for the Eagles whenever they come back. The Cowboys just turned the ball over on a fumble, and so they were driving down the field, and now they had the Cardinals had the ball again. This might get ugly for the Cowboys, but we're gonna move along, and we're gonna talk about the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills with another regular season win over the Chiefs. And the reason why I said that is because they do this all the time. They beat the Chiefs at home all the time. I mean, on the road all the time. You said that the Packers lost to the Browns. Yeah, they did lose to the Browns, but no, what I'm saying is, Chris, I'm saying, yeah, they lost, and I think that was the first game of the season, if I'm not mistaken, when they lost to the Browns. But you know, I don't. You remember I told you this. I That first game of the season is kind of iffy to me because you know the starters hadn't played. You're just trying to get a feel for everything and all that good stuff. But yeah, they did lose to the Browns, but they still been having a pretty decent season. They just had those hiccups. They lost to the Browns. They lost to the Panthers. Like and then some other games that they lost that they weren't pretty. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't look good at all. So but I'm with you. All right. The Bills win another regular season game over the Chiefs. That's one thing the Bills do. They can win regular season games over the Chiefs. But when they get to the playoffs, they can't win shit against the Chiefs. That's the sad thing about it. They can show up in a regular season game. They almost try to get that game away the way they played down the stretch. They ended up beating the Chiefs, I think, 21-28. Um, they were up, by two scores, and I think they played not to lose the game, and I think that made the score a little bit more, you know. Oh, wait a minute, Chris. You said third game of the season they played them. Hey, Chris, listen. You probably looked that up, and you probably right. Guess what? I don't keep up with the Packers like that. I just know that first few games they look good. Okay, they lost to the Browns. They look good again, and then they lose to the Panthers. That's not a good recipe for winning football and being a championship team. Is all I'm saying. So, um, and I think that a lot of it might have been from uh, adrenaline and hype whenever they got Michael Parsons. That might have what it could have been, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, that's what it is. All right, but we're gonna talk about the Bills still, and the Bills they can beat the Chiefs in the regular season, and then come playoffs they struggle. They can't. They act like they ain't seen a football. They act like they can't beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have continuously beat them in the playoffs when it matters the most. So we'll see if this time this will help the Bills get over that hump. It could have been something, you know, to help they mental or whatever, because the Chiefs have really had their number. Josh Allen um, has not been able to beat Patrick Mahomes in big games. So maybe they won't use this as a Super Bowl and turn around and play a whole lot better come playoffs if they meet in the playoffs, because right now the Chiefs are out of the playoff look right now. The playoff picture right now, if the playoffs would start right now, the Chiefs would be out of the playoffs. And I said it. A lot of people didn't want to listen to me. I said I felt like the Chiefs were on decline, and this will be the year that you see a big decline. Yes, their offense have looked better and all that good stuff, but there's teams out there that's better than the Chiefs. There's teams out there that play better than the Chiefs, and the Chiefs feel like they can turn it on and turn it off whenever they get good and ready. And I think that's the biggest issue with them. You can't turn it on and turn it off whenever you get good and ready. But we'll see what happens. The Bills always beat them in the regular season. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. All right, and damn it, I keep hitting the wrong button. And we're gonna move along. And we got one more topic, and then I'm gonna get my final word. Should Lakers move on from LeBron? And this is my last topic, and for the simple fact that the reason why this question is asked is because um, have you seen how the Lakers been playing without LeBron? Austin Reeves has looked like uh, an all-star, um, a franchise caliber player, and without LeBron, he hasn't had to defer to anyone. And at the end of the day, you have to ask that question because shouldn't you want to be competing for long term versus, okay, well, we got LeBron for a 1 year rental. Are we going to be able to, you know, still center things around him? And that's my question. Will you still center stuff around LeBron, or would you start handing the keys to Austin Reeves because you've seen him 40-point game, 50-point game, game winners, and all that good stuff. And this is without LeBron and when Luka wasn't playing as well. So you got to take a look at all of that. Me personally, I think it's time for them to move on from LeBron. Nothing against LeBron. I don't know if anybody else would want him because, when he comes, he wants to control every narrative. He wants everything to be about him. He wants to control everything. And so I don't know if a team will want that unless it's one of the bottom seller teams that, just want to sell tickets. That's the only way I can see it happen. The Lakers might be stuck with him, and he may not play this season with that nerve damage. They saying that he's coming back, but he just doesn't look like he's on the sideline interested in playing with this Lakers team. Um, we'll see, but me personally, I think they should, and not because LeBron can't play, but because how long is he going to play is the biggest question. How long is LeBron going to play, and how long would you want that to continue to go on? The Cowboys just blocked the punt and scored a touchdown. Um, but how long would you want to keep doing that same thing? And you know, basing everything around him. Wonder if he gonna, want this person traded, want that person traded, and you know that you're not going far because the team is not built well. So like I say, if you're ready to move on with Luca, then that's what you need to do. You're gonna have to move on from LeBron at some point in time, and I would say sooner rather than later that I would be wanting to move on from him because you got Austin Reeves that who is going to be if you let him have the ball, he could be a good piece to you guys being better and winning. And it's just as simple as that. So I think it's time. A lot of people be like, no, LeBron James is still one of the best players in the league. Statistically, he is. But are the Lakers trying to win, or are they trying to watch LeBron's stat pad and try to just keep adding to his all-time, points total? Because that's what it looks like to me. Because you're not winning anything. Because your team is not good enough. And but the Lakers, when I looked yesterday, were 4-2 without LeBron, and some games without Luka, and they just look better. And now, granted, now some of the teams they played against hadn't been the greatest, but they're winning. You only play who's in front of you. So, a lot of people disagree with me because they're LeBron fans. I'm not saying it out of dislike of LeBron. I'm just saying that it's time to move on. All right. And we're going to get to my final word, and we're going to end the show off of this right here. A lot of people be going through stuff. We're going through a lot of stuff right now with people losing food stamps, people losing SNAP, people losing health insurance, people just losing jobs and everything like that. And people just going through hell. Everything's so high and all that stuff. I deal with it on an everyday basis and everything. But one thing I realize is that everything ends up working out. Sometimes even better than you can imagine. Remember this when you're in a hard place and feel like you're being challenged the most. So just remember that everything gonna work out in the end. My mom used to say that all the time. Curly used to say, "Oh, it's gonna work out in the end," and I used to always say, "I don't know," but things always do work out, and it'll work out for your good. So everybody, just remember that this week. Remember what's going on in life. Say a prayer for everybody because we supposed to be all in this together. So hopefully, a lot of the stuff going on is not affecting you or any loved ones, but if you do, we'll keep them in prayer because we want everybody to be good in this situation. And I know I have a lot of people in Maryland that depends on uh, federal contracts and federal work, and they're out of work right now. And so hopefully we'll get this government back open so everybody can, get back to living life the way they're supposed to. So with that being said, I hope everybody have a good rest of your week, and I'll leave you with this.